name?
Hamza.
Hamza, okay. My 295 problem is Antonella Manciano. I don't think you know.
She's actually the better one, yeah.
She's the better one?
Abdisa. Abdisa?
Yeah.
For 295 and Antonella, right? He's the reason I'm still in economics.
What, this guy's goated? This guy's top one?
So put your guys' name on this.
What? I was just gonna ask.
For the 295 professor, there's Johnny, the one guy I had, right? The bad guy. Then there's this Spanish professor.
Yeah, I have her right
You
now.
had it, right?
She's late. Are you in my class? What time's the class? No, you have macro at 2:30 then, right?
Everybody walks. Second is fine.
Yeah, I haven't
Second is
either,
fine.
right? Oh.
You're still the same
Yeah,
professor.
second is
Yeah,
fine.
same professors.
You won't need to move it. So that's fine.
What quiz? The micro quiz.
We
Micro or math?
we can turn any lights off.
I think this is good.
370?
This is
Try
good.
the front one.
No, I'm doing 370. I'm doing
Turn off the
365.
front light.
I'm in 30.
Oh,
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's better. No.
That's going like we're going to sleep. Wait, sorry. Apologies. Okay.
I don't remember.
No, well, it's the lights.
I'm 40.
Alright, welcome everyone. Just wanted to welcome you guys to the CPA CFA Speaker Panel. It's going to be a great opportunity for, I also want to thank first of all the speakers for coming and taking the time to share your experiences. It's going to be a great experience for us to learn about their career path and what CFA CPA is for those who don't know what it is. So first of all, before we ask any questions and move on, we just want to share about what professional development is. This is something that Furqan, the MSc president, has started this year. So I'm going to pass it off to Yahya to explain what we basically do.
So basically what the idea behind our department was is that we wanted to give a space to Muslims like all of you to kind of cater to themselves and be able to have themselves and be confident in themselves in professional settings so that you guys can inshallah be leaders when you get into there and that we can have influence within these spaces. So inshallah we want just to provide opportunities for you to cultivate yourselves and to learn and grow inshallah. So yeah, we'll get started.
So we'll get started. So what we're going to do is just ask some general questions, and we also have some questions that's catered towards you guys specifically, and then we're going to open the floor to the audience as well. You guys just want to first give a quick introduction, each of you guys, what your experiences are, where you guys work, and what you guys basically do for. I guess we can start with you and then.
Alright, assalamu alaikum once again, everyone. My name is Haneef Abbas, and currently I run a financial advisory company called Leonine Investment Services. And I've been running this firm for about 7 years. But prior to doing this, I've been in the banking space for about 13 years, specifically investment banking. So when businesses need to raise finance to either invest in new projects, do mergers and acquisitions, or just grow organically, we work with them to help them, flesh out the financial plans and then present to investors to raise capital and to grow. So I started my company in 7 years. I've worked with firms like PwC, and the main goal was to really empower entrepreneurs, particularly small and medium scale type entrepreneurs, to grow and support them along that piece. So currently I do that on a day-to-day basis, and I'm happy to share my experience over the last 15 years with you guys today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so assalamu alaikum everybody. My name is Maleeha Khan, and I followed the CPA route. I was at KPMG for a couple of years at KPMG Toronto, and my main clients were retail manufacturing clients like Tim Hortons, mix of like public and private clients. So happy to talk more about the CPA path with you guys. And I later on moved on to work with a gold mining company. I was there for about over a year. And now I'm at a construction company because I wanted to explore and try out something different as a finance manager. So passing on to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Farid Fllahi. I'm a portfolio manager and investment counselor with RBC Channel. I work with high net worth individuals and families in managing their wealth. I'm a chartered financial analyst, the CFA charter holder, and a certified financial planner. My background is actually in engineering. I have a master's degree in geotechnical engineering, and the first part of my career was in construction management and project management in engineering. This is my second career. I had 12 years of experience in engineering and then moved to wealth management, and I have about 7 years of experience in wealth management.
Awesome. We also just wanted to mention that unfortunately one of our speakers couldn't make it, Upsell, but we can share his contact information and you guys can reach out to him if you have any more questions. But yeah, so we can move on to the first question. So the first question is, what inspired you to pursue a career in finance, and why did you choose your specific designation? This also goes for accounting obviously as well, so.
Thanks for that. So what inspired me? At a very early stage in my life, my dad had a way of getting us to read books, and one of the books I read very early on was a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it sort of opened my eyes to the idea of being an entrepreneur and being an investor. So from a very early stage, I made up my mind I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I chose the finance space because I was good with numbers. You know, throughout my early career, I was very good with math, business studies, and those subjects. I knew I had a thing for numbers. I wanted to make a lot of money, and I thought being an entrepreneur is like the surest way to make tons of money. So I had that early insight into choosing like the finance space. So when I went into college, I went for finance. I studied banking and finance, and right after college as well, I was very deliberate in making sure that my career path was finance and entrepreneurship. Now I wanted to own a bank or own like a financial institution where we're providing financial services to people, but you couldn't just wake up and say you wanted to start a bank. You needed experience. So based on that trajectory, I had to get some experience in the banking sector. So I worked in the bank first for a couple of years. I also worked with PwC. And then after I gained sufficient experience, I went out to start my own investment banking boutique. It's a smaller firm, but we compete with big four like KPMG, PwC in terms of some of the clients we advise. And the plan is to, you know, branch out and even do other things as well across the financial services space. So reading that book at the very early stage of my life opened my eyes to the business and finance space, and I just built on that and, you know, set my career path from that.
Awesome.
That's really inspiring.
Yeah, thank you.
So how I started off, I think I was always good with numbers, with math, and with accounting, top of the class. So I thought, okay, why not? I'm good at it, and accounting is the backbone of every organization. The good stable job, the good job that can make you money. Maybe not as much as consulting and finance. I wish I could explore that side. Yeah, so I actually wanted to go into accounting from I did my A-levels actually, which is when you go to a British curriculum school, you choose your subjects very early on. So I chose my subjects in grade 9, and I was like very focused in the business stream. Didn't have any sciences, so accounting was my strong strength. Later on, you know, I went to school at TMU, which is used to be called Ryerson, and I, you know, got into the co-op program. I loved the exposure there. I started networking with people. At that point, I was at a path where I had to decide whether I want to go the Big 4 route or whether I want to go into industry. So I thought, well, I am an academically excellent student, and I would like to be more excellent and excel my you know, excel in terms of my personality, build my professional network. So I chose the Big Four route, which opened a lot of doors for me, I would say, in terms of exposure, in terms of meeting people, and it really, I think, groomed me into who I am today. So working at KPMG and similar to, you know, working at PwC, I think it opens a lot of doors. And so that's basically, I was just chasing excellence. I just wanted to do best of what I can. Like accounting was my strength, so I just wanted to continue to excel in that.
Do you mind just elaborating a little more on how like Big Four groomed you? Or?
Yeah, so I think when you go into industry, you're only working for one certain company.
Right.
When you're at a Big Four, and when especially in audit or like even consulting, you have different set of clients, and you're meeting people like the VP Finance, the CFO, the Director of Finance. You know, you don't have that one-on-one interaction as much when you start off in the industry, and you're working with different clients. Like I worked with retail, I worked with pharma clients, I worked with car manufacturing industry. So it's just a good space for you to experience a little bit of everything, and then see what you're more interested in and want to dive deeper into, and like, you know, have more expertise in later on.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So for me, because I was in engineering, it started with curiosity. Like I was doing some FX trading, trying to see what this thing is, and that's how it started for me. Spent a lot of time trying to figure out this trickery and magic in like doing FX trading and all of these technical analysis and things like that. So wasted a lot of time, or spent a lot of time that way. Then little by little I started to understand that no, there is a formal path forward. I did something with the CFA Institute. It's a smaller designation called Investment Foundations, just to educate myself. And again, that the common theme was that curiosity. So then, and at the same time in my career and in my profession, I was involved with a lot of, because I was in construction management, so I was dealing with different stakeholders of a project. I was dealing with the engineering side, I was dealing with the finance, with the investor, with the owner of the project. So that was the stakeholder relationship management part of the business, which was not necessarily very technical engineering. And it's all, so when I did the finance and then I moved to Canada, I thought, okay, this is a new beginning anyway, maybe this is my chance to start something new. And I realized that all of those things that were seemingly very different and separated, they all actually could come together in wealth management industry, because as you were mentioning, there is the element of dealing and working with different business owners, different professionals. So there's the relationship management, there is the number side of things, which at start was actually easier for me because of my background. So that's how it went on for me, and that's how it started.
So we're just gonna move on to the next question.
So our next question is, are there any like insights that you guys can share based on like the challenges you guys face when you're preparing for like these exams? Because we all know these exams can be very challenging and very kind of hard on a person, and then how you overcame these challenges. So we'll start with
Yeah, sure, I can go. So, I mean, I think one challenge that comes to mind was when I was preparing for my chartered accountancy exams called ACCA, which is more affiliated with the UK, right? So, when I was preparing for that, it was my first time taking a professional exam. I was fresh out of college, and I was working at the time. So, the biggest challenge for me was how do I studied finance, so I had a sense of accounting, but again, I didn't study accounting for first degree, so it was still a bit new. So I thought I needed to take like extra classes, like, you know, get a school to attend and learn. Thank you so much. Right, so I started with that, but it was too much because I was working in the banking industry, a lot of pressure. So trying to balance that with studying for the exam and still having time to read, because you have to know your learning style. For me, I like to study on my own. So most times when I take any professional exam, I'm pretty much studying from cover to cover. I read everything. I don't look for shortcuts or anything. So it was a lot of pressure trying to study, attend classes, and work at the same time. So I tried it for a few months. It wasn't working. So I decided to just stop going for classes, since I knew my learning style was to study anyway. So even though I was going to those classes, I still had to read on my own to get it. So I just cut out those classes, and then that took a lot of pressure off me, and I was able to study. So I completed my ACCA, 14 papers, and then when I started the CFA, because I'm also a CFA charter holder as well, I didn't bother going for any classes because I knew it wasn't my style, and I was still working anyway. So I just studied, and it worked for me. But yeah, so the biggest challenge was just knowing your learning style and sticking to it.
So did you do your CFA as well?
Yeah, CFA.
Awesome.
So for me, sorry, what was the question again? How to balance?
Challenges.
Like
Challenges?
what
challenge
you
do you
had when
encounter?
you were writing?
Right. So when so I came here as an international student, and when it came to the point, so there's this thing. It's pretty recently. It's recent. Yeah, it's very new. You can do your diploma, which is a 4-month diploma. That covers all your core courses and also your electives, I believe, right? I had the choice of whether I want to go to school for 4 more months or whether I want to start working and get ahead a little bit and also dedicate my evenings and weekends towards core 1, core 2. What are the other two? I think you choose elective 1 and elective 2, yeah. It's been a while now.
Yeah.
So I chose that path. I thought, why not get a head start in my career, and as I'm learning, I can continue to apply those things in my workplace, and vice versa. Like when you're working, you learn a lot of things that, just textbook knowledge is not very relevant. So it was challenging. I had to dedicate my evenings and weekends, stay up until like 2 a.m. The deadline was 3 a.m. for the assignments. They were weekly assignments. But again, it's more about breadth, like in CPA. It's more about where you can find the things in the handbook. You have to know how to answer a particular way and not aim for perfection. So yeah, a lot of time management. When you're working for a Big Four, there is a blackout season. You can't be working in the busy season, which is basically January to April. So you can't be enrolled in an elective or in a course. But you manage, you have that motivation. You want to become, you have specific goals for yourself. You hold yourself accountable to those standards and to those goals and just work towards it.
So just to be clear, you didn't take the diploma?
I did not take the diploma.
So you did everything with work?
I did everything with work, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was one of those people. One of those very few people who took the harder route. Let's see.
So for me, I think same as Maleeha and Haneef mentioned, the biggest thing is time commitment. And a lot of times you're doing your CFA, you're not necessarily right out of school, or you don't do it while you're studying at school. So you may be like in your career, you're progressing, and then you realize that this is the path you want to go. So you want to be a CFA charter holder. In my case, my license requires to be a CFA charter holder. For a lot of other like equity analysts or different types of professions that people follow, this is something that you start to work and then you realize, okay, this is the path I want to take. So at that stage you're working, some people have started families, so the biggest challenge is time commitment. But so if you speak with people, they may give you advice that whatever you do, start early. Like don't wait until you're very busy with your family, with your. But in my case, that like this wasn't the case for me. and it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. Like life is not linear, so you take turns and twists, and so be prepared for that. You don't need to figure out everything ahead of time and have everything planned for the next 20 years. But be prepared that, like the CFA Institute itself, they have an estimation of you need 300 hours of study for each level. So that's the most important thing. Have that time commitment. You can't do it in 1 year, that's okay. Do it in 2 years.
Yeah.
You can't do it consecutively. I didn't do it consecutively. Like I failed level 2 once. So that it's just that resilience and keeping at it until you you finish the program.
And just to add on, I think it's very important, like just in university, right? Do your readings, stay on top of your assignments, just like that. Have a to-do list, start early. You know, it's like taking medication, right? And you can't just pop all the pills at once. It won't work that way.
Yeah.
You have to take it
Yeah.
the scheduled times.
Were there like any like specific like other types of study methods you guys use? Like, for example, for some people they like using cue cards or multiple choice study, or it's like the program already set up for you guys.
I mean, I can go. So for me, it was 6 hours. I tried to do 6 hours per day, every day. So I wake up very early. I do 2 hours before I go to work, and then during the day, I try to sneak out time to just refreshing things, maybe 1 hour. Most times I do about 5 hours per day, but my style is not to rush. So I don't work well trying to study like 1 month to the exam and trying to cram everything. It doesn't work. So last month to the exam, I'm only doing questions and past questions, multiple choice, and just revising. So I start very early, and like you said, 300 hours for each level, minimum average you need to have study for 300 hours. So I just did the math, and I did 6 hours every day. And during the week, if I couldn't make the 6 hours, then the weekend I might do 12 hours or something. So, and that's just like you said, dedication, you know, small bits, but consistently over time. And then once I complete the study materials, and I then focus on questions, past questions, how to answer the questions, and all that stuff. So that was my regimen.
Yeah, of course, the same thing. Yeah, and I also like, just for me, it was more like exposing myself to one thing several times. Again, like I'll use another example. It's like watching a movie. You know, you watch it once, okay, you get a few things. You watch the second time, you might see some things which you missed. So like for me, I would take my own notes, like textbook and stuff. I would like mainly like highlight things. A lot of it was on the ebook, so that was a bit challenging for me, I would say, because I'm more of like I like to write things down. But I think I like just being in the workplace now, and like with times like you have to take notes. It's just more easier to find things and keywords. But I find writing things down, it sits with me, like at the back of my mind. So I used to write things down, and then I would look at things in my own handwriting. Like even if I had 5 minutes, I'd like just glimpse over it and be like, it would be like I would call it in my head like a speed review. You know, so just looking at it. Yeah.
Any other more tips for you or?
Yeah, so I'm same as Haneef. I like to read it cover to cover. There are a lot of good third-party education providers that you can take the concise version or it's like a shortcut. Because I was an outsider to this industry, I wanted to learn. Like I wanted to understand what I'm reading. I read the material itself. Like with level 1 at that time, it was close to 3,000 pages that you had to read. So that's the level of commitment in terms of time that it takes. So I did that, but then I realized that there are these third-party providers. They're really good, but then depends on your style and what you want to take out of the program. I still personally think that the material itself is very good, so I recommend doing that, but then there are these other options as well.
I'll add something. I think one key thing and key insight I had that I think also might vary for different people is, what is your objective for taking an exam? Some people, the objective is just to get that designation, your CFA, or some people is to be able to get that job or to qualify for something. Right, but if your objective is to learn, then might do things a bit differently. So if my objective was just to pass the exam, then I'll look for the fastest, short. But if your objective is to learn, then you might want to think about that. So I think it's very useful to clarify what your goal is, your objective for taking whatever exam, and then you can then plan along those lines.
I hope you guys are ready. Some dedication right here, right? Moving on to the next question. How has earning the CPA slash CFA designation impacted your career or opened up opportunities?
Alright, so I think the CFA, I'll say it's been mixed, and for the most part, it's probably been indirect. So when I took the CFA, not because I was trying to get into a particular industry or increase my income or anything, I took it because I wanted to learn and be able to apply myself better in my job. So it was so one of the first things was I was able to execute on my job even better. Like I was already in PwC, I was already working on deals, I was already doing valuations. But taking the CFA made me understand almost like the first principles of everything I was already applying based on just formulas or based on what people were saying. Now I can understand why I'm using this multiple to value this company or why I'm doing certain things. So it was very useful in my execution capabilities. And what that then translated to was getting quick promotions and all that. And then before I started my company in about 2018, I earned my designation, the CFA, just around about a couple of months before that. So obviously it's on my business card, and then sometimes I'm in meetings and people get impressed that, oh, you're CFA, you're ACCA, you're this, you're that, and they sort of trust you. So I'll say it's also helped me win a lot of mandates. So just last year, I was training a group of investment bankers, and when I was speaking with the CFO later, one of the things she said was one of the reasons why they chose me over one of the other people was they saw my qualification. I was like, okay, we need to bring this guy in. So I can't really say like tangibly to say, okay, this, but I know in terms of promotion, I was executing better, I got promoted. In terms of winning mandates as an entrepreneur, you know, it's in my profile, people look at that when they're trying to decide that I'm starting this deal, and then I've been winning some mandates, and some clients say, okay, you know, we like the profile, we thought, you know, you're comfortable, we trust that you'll be able to do this.
So it shows that you're just more qualified.
Exactly, you're more qualified.
Yeah, I think with your CFA, CPA, MBA, any designation whatsoever, there are two things that come out of it. One thing, like Haneef mentioned, is learning. You know, you're an expert. You're there to learn. That's why you're taking the certification. The second thing is branding, right? Personal branding. People trust you. People can rely on you. And a lot of job descriptions you'll see, you know, they require a CPA or a CFA. So, I mean, that's how it is, and that's how the world is now. So, yeah.
So I can be a little bit more specific in my case. In wealth management industry in Canada, there are two bodies or regulatory bodies that provide licensing. So the one that I have done is the Ontario Securities Commission. So if you want to be a portfolio management license, you need CFA. So it's other than your career progression, this is a requirement that you need a CFA charter and 1 year of something called relevant investment management experience or RIME. So that's a requirement. But even doing CFA level 1, so you can have a partial license. Like if you have your CFA level 1 and you have 4 years of experience, you can be an associate advising representative. So there is value to partial doing just level 1, there is value to that as well. And in terms of career, in the line of business that I'm in, that just shows that you're serious. You have the commitment, you've done your level, even level 1. That shows that you're on your path, you're serious about this, so it's very helpful in wealth management industry.
Awesome.
So, kind of like following up with the previous question, like, what skills and experiences, obviously you guys talked about your designations here, but what do you think are critical in terms of success in your fields? I'd say apart from the designation. So, things that are separate from those, what would you say?
So I think for me, again, I've been in the finance space all my career, and I think one of the main reasons why I did the ACCA exam was made chartered accountant is the accounting skill is so critical. Like you said, it's the currency of business. Like every business needs to report the financials, and that's the way you're judged. You know, just yesterday I was listening to the earnings report of Tesla, and talking about the performance, how many cars you shape, performance, and all that. So accounting skills, generally speaking, is very important. Even if you're going to be in oil and gas, if you're going to grow to like the C-suite level, you need to understand the language of business. I think that was my main reason for doing ACCA. And over and above that is communication and relationship management skills. And usually when people join my team, I tell them there are two main things you need. You need execution and origination. As an early stage finance professional, you need to be able to execute, do research, do analysis, get work done. And then as you grow more senior, your origination abilities, ability to bring in new business, sales, communication, relationship management becomes more important. So I think those are like three sets of skills I would say that are very critical.
Yeah. What skills or experiences do you think are critical for success in the finance industry?
Skills or experiences critical for success. I would say any skill, no matter like if it is finance or not, the curiosity to learn, like I think we touched upon, the curiosity to be, the determination to excel, the determination to self-learn. Like there are a lot of things that you learn on the go. Nobody will like teach you sometimes on the job. You just have to be able to figure things out, be a problem solver. There are things, like I know like my boss would know, he would have an answer, or he or she would have an answer to. But the time that you take to actually look into things and investigate, you'll learn more that way than just getting a spoon-fed answer. So I think that's very important. The other thing I would say, and it applies to you guys as students as well right now, make sure to network, right? Like they say, your network is your net worth. So network, right? Like when you're in accounting, especially in finance, you have to know people, to make deals, and even in accounting, just relationship management. You're interacting with different levels of management. You're interacting with operations, sometimes engineers, sometimes project managers. At least in my industry, I'm also interacting with AP and AR and people who are not very familiar with the accounting terminologies. So sometimes you also have to have the skill of talking in layman terms, so a common person can understand. So these are some very important things.
I totally agree. So the industry that I'm in is considered a sales industry. Sometimes that has a negative meaning. So some people say we're not car salesmen, or it actually is not negative. It's the ability to tell a story. Can I explain to you in an understandable fashion what I do or what I understand from a specific stock, specific investment, specific whatever you're doing. We work with asset managers or the sales side of the industry. They're not necessarily dealing with end clients. So they are very technical, they're portfolio managers, but at the end of the day, they should be able to walk up to us and explain to us what is it, the product that they have and what they do. So this ability to understand the process and then explain the process. And it's not something you're born with, it's just takes practice, takes knowledge, and takes doing over many years. So it's an acquired skill. So that's one thing. And the other thing that I wanted to mention in terms of skills is just that people and relationship manager that Haneef mentioned. Just this ability to be disciplined, to be like we talk about networking. It's just about speaking with people, be yourself and be cordial and have that relationship with people. That's very, very useful and very crucial in my understanding.
I just have like a follow-up question. Maybe for me first, like, can you talk more about like your experience at like PwC and how that was like more of a, what kind of transferable skills, how did that experience really help you in terms of going into entrepreneurship?
Alright, thanks for that. So prior to working with PwC, I was in the banking space. Right, and one of the things about the banks is all about debt. So even though I was working on several deals, I worked on deals in the power sector, oil and gas, but it was more debt focused. And as most of you know, in finance, there are two main asset class, debt and equity. So switching over to PwC, one of the very big addition it had to my career was exposure to equities. So now I was working on equity deals, and then it was a global brand. Right, so that was also very useful, and there are a lot of skills that you get from. So most people see PwC as a training ground. A lot of the big fours as a training ground because you don't go there to earn the big bucks. I literally took like a 50 or 70% pay cut to switch to PwC. Right, so you don't go there to earn the big bucks. You earn more maybe in banking or some other career, but you go there to learn. And when you're coming out of that organization, of those organizations, it's a different ballgame. There's that stamp that, you know, this is
It's a golden
it's a golden, yeah, so it's a big one. But over and above that was the exposure to equities and, you know, doing deals. So for me, it gave me that rounded experience. I've done debt, I've done equity, and, you know, it's like having the best of both worlds. So I think that was
more your technical experience.
yeah, technical experience. And then on the relationship side, I've been very mindful about it from day zero, right? So when I was in the banking sector, I was very mindful. Like every organization I work in, I know all the people that matter, and I deliberately, you know, cultivate those relationships right from zero to the C-suite. And I think it's something that helped me when I decided to start my own business, because a lot of the clients I got in the first 12 months, and I'll say even till now, were from referrals, from people that I'd worked with, from my past colleagues, from clients that I served, that knew that I was now doing this. A lot of referrals, so that's one of the advantage. And if you work in PwC, the peak of your career there is to become a partner, which means you're like a shared owner in the business, and one of your main responsibilities is to bring in deals. So if you're like me and you're very ambitious, you know that one day you need to be bringing in deals, and then you need to work back to see what are those skills that I need to have to be able to deliver on that level. And those are some of the things I picked out from there. And a lot of the culture that I now instill at my companies and within the teams that I build up, I also gained from PwC in terms of, you know, performance appraisals, coaching and mentoring, you know, how to structure teams and all that. A lot of those I also picked up from there.
Yeah. And just for you don't mind, just can you talk a little bit more about like your engineering experience and how that helped you in finance?
Sure. So apart from the like technical and numbers skills, something that really helped me was I mentioned the stakeholder relationship management. So you have to bring the architect, the like electrical, HVAC, construction, the designer, structural, different people, bring them to the table and come to a final decision. You have limitations in terms of budget, in terms of time. So this ability to hear everyone, to understand what their concerns or where the bottleneck is in the project, I think that was crucial, because what we do is a long-term relationship, and there is a very long process from the day that we meet, initial prospect meeting, to the day that we finalize a portfolio for a client. It may take a long time. So having that ability to plan things, stay on the course, be prepared for surprises, and be prepared for everything not go according to the plan, I think those are not at the first glance, they're not exactly related to what I'm doing, but those skills helps a lot.
Awesome, thank you.
Sorry, I also have like a question as well, just following up, because we're learning about this in our classes right now. A lot of people, they go into like business degrees, and a lot of people go into the business because they want to avoid things like, oh, I don't want to code, I don't want to kind of get into like all these technical things. But I wanted to get your guys' like opinions and takes on how important it is to actually know these things in a business sense, and how important it is to kind of like learn to interact with them and know how to actually talk with them on their terms and know what they're talking about to you. So if we can start with you.
Okay. Now I think coding, it's becoming almost like how reading and writing was back then, right? I think it's a skill that would be very helpful, not just for programmers, because in terms of like problem solving, for example, when you write programs or when you code, you're actually problem solving because you're trying to get something to happen in a way that's automated, and you're trying to do that. So I don't think people should run away from it. Like if you check some of the curriculums for like CFA, I qualified for CFA a long time ago, but I've seen some of their recent material. I know they're covering things like Python and SQL and some of all these other languages. And one of the greatest skills you can have, at least today, in finance is financial modeling skills, right? It's very critical. And when we build financial models, you're pretty much coding, right? It might not be like a language like C# or JavaScript, but you're literally coding because you have inputs, you have some calculations that happen automatically, and you have outputs. That's coding, input, output, right? So I think people should, but a lot of times you hear these buzzwords and you think that is like something only special people can do. But by the time you dig in a little bit, you'll see that it's not really a big deal. And then my point, which I think is also emphasizing what my co-panelist said, is you have to have that open-mindedness, that willingness to want to learn and relearn, because the markets are changing. Everybody's aware of what's happening with artificial intelligence, and now knowing how to prompt an AI engine to get you the kind of results you want. Those are skills that become more important, and also understanding what's happening in the back end, to be able to assess, because these things are prone to errors as well. But if you just put in input and just take garbage in, garbage out, then it also affects your quality as a professional, because when you use some of these tools, it helps to be able to know how is it working and how can you spot errors and how can you fix those errors. So in a nutshell, I would say we should embrace it because it's a critical skill. And there was someone that said, in this world, there are only two kinds of people: the programmed and those who program. So you would rather want to be around those who program. But yeah, that's what I'll say on that.
I actually have a question. Which software do you guys use for financial modeling? Is it specific or is it Excel?
So it's Microsoft Excel primarily, right? But there are other tools that are coming up now. But today, 9 out of 10 deals is still Microsoft Excel.
You guys can't escape.
Right, you can't escape Excel.
Yes,
you can't.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Like 9 out of 10,
so
you're using Excel. I mean, there's some tools that they try to say they do like financial modeling, but it's for like maybe very tiny businesses where your small scale business is straightforward. But if you're doing big deals like mergers and acquisitions, where you're trying to model like synergies, there are no two similar deals. So most times you need to have that skill to be able to fine tune it to this customer strategy, to what they want to achieve, and all that magic happens in Excel. I've seen companies that spend millions of dollars on softwares like Microsoft Dynamics or some of these other tools, but eventually they still have to go back to Excel to do some of those things. So to your point, Excel is still critical, at least today. I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but today. Yeah.
You're working in accounting and finance, you're looking at Excel sheets, yeah.
Is that the same for you as
No, not for me. So I'm not like in equity analysis or but there are a lot of different softwares that we use in terms of wealth planning, in terms of portfolio management. Excel is unavoidable. Yeah. Something I wanted to mention is that I have a motto that everything is figure outable. Yes. So you don't necessarily need to know, because we don't know 5 years from now which software or which type of coding, but just having the ability to go from first principles is important. So whatever you're doing now, whatever you're exposed to now, that may not translate to what you will do in future word for word, but having that ability to, okay, I start from this point and then I get to my goal, having the ability to come up with the solution from first principles, I think is very important. And
it's great.
you need to find those resources. I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes you are Googling stuff. Because there's so much like new things coming out that there aren't a lot of like resources, like for AI, you know, like universities are just coming out with courses. So all these tech people, you know, they're learning and all, like, let's say hackers even, right? They learn things on their own.
Yeah.
And then big companies, they utilize those hackers so that they can test their security systems, their firewalls. So there's a lot of self-learning for sure.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We are like running out of time. We can ask a couple more questions because we want to give time for the audience as well. And then we have some questions that's catered towards you guys. So just one more question is, what advice would you give to students considering pursuing a CFA or CPA designation?
A loaded question.
Very loaded. So I mean, if you're considering, I haven't taken the CTA, so I'll focus more on the CFA. But if you're considering the CFA, I'll say the biggest thing I'll say is know your why. Why are you considering the CFA? Because it's not an easy journey. If you don't have a strong why, you get frustrated along the way, or there are a lot of people that start the CFA and then you just abandon it after, because you'll be challenged, right? So I think having a strong why is very important, and then if your why is very strong, then it's easy to then build on that and then go for it. I think CFA is very strong if you are looking to build a career in finance, private equity, investment banking, portfolio management, asset management. This sort of field is super critical, right? But if you don't see yourself, if you're not passionate about those areas, it might not be the best option. But again, it goes back to the objective and the why. So make sure your why is very strong, and then based on that, you can then walk your way back.
Yeah, and I think it might be scary. Like sometimes you fascinate, and sometimes you think, oh, life is this way. CPA, CFA looks like something I would like, but you don't really know once you get into it. Don't be scared, right? Like just when you've made a decision that you want to become a CPA or CFA, just stick to it. And somewhere or later, like it will help you out. It is those two designations are very amazing and like great designations to have. It will open up like opportunities for you, even if you don't pursue a career in finance or accounting. So just have the resilience. Obviously, don't like if you don't like it. Like I have seen a lot of people like come in as first year staff, and a lot of them have left and pursued a career in product design or something in tech. Much recently, I think that's been more of a trend. Like people are moving away from doing accounting.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah, find your passion, find your liking. I think more recently I've realized if you follow your passion, you can't necessarily make a living out of it. I don't know if you guys agree. You can, but what if your passion is football? You know, can you be the David Beckham? Can you be the Lionel Messi? You know?
Yeah, probability is low, but yeah.
Like work is work. Accounting, like, is it my passion? I don't know. Like I enjoy it, yeah, for sure. But my passion, I would say, yeah, maybe like I have other passions in life, you know.
Makes sense, yeah. That's why it's important to also have hobbies as well inside of your work.
Yeah.
My advice is speak to people. There are many different things that I was doing my CFA. I had passed my level 2, and I still couldn't explain the difference between investment banking, between asset management, between wealth management. All of these things seem to be very connected, and they are connected, but they're very different things that you can do. So deal making, mergers and acquisitions, the compliance, legal side of things, there are many different avenues that you can take. So speak with different people and have them or ask them to explain to you what they do, what part of finance, because I always joke that at first if someone would ask me what do you want to do, I would say I want to work in finance. It's like saying I want to be a doctor. What kind of doctor?
Yeah.
There are so many different things that you can say, and this relates to that passion as well. That you can be a finance professional in gaming industry. We have colleagues that specialize in working with professional athletes. So you're passionate about football, about hockey, you can't be someone who provides money advice to professional hockey players. Like all of these things can be connected at a deeper level. So just speak with people, explore, be curious, ask questions. You will find your own specific customized way ahead.
Just to add something, I think one habit I recommend everybody tries to imbibe is reading, right? And I know in today's world it might also be maybe listening to podcasts or listening to audiobooks, but there's so much information out there that trying to look through the lens of people that have lived or walked the path can also open your own ideas. Like I mentioned, for me, my interest in entrepreneurship and finance was out of just reading a book and seeing some of those options. So like you mentioned, speaking to people is useful as well, but some people maybe like to read. I like to read, and I think most people should read more, or at least maybe listen to something or watch something, and then you might find something that really piques your attention or that you have an interest in, and you can combine those things. Like I think you answered the question very nicely. You might have a passion for football, but you also like finance, and then you're doing finance for for Manchester United club or whatever. So, but try to be open-minded, try to read, speak to people, and it also helps you shape yourself.
Awesome.
So we're gonna move on to like specific questions from each of you. So this one's for you, Maleeha. I know you and Haneef have both touched upon this a little bit throughout the other questions, but can you tell us more about your experience working at KPMG and how that kind of helped shape your expertise in like finance and accounting, and like what were the most valuable skills you would say that you gained from working at one of these big four firms?
So working at KPMG, the experience, like I said, it was very enriching. You start off with this whole batch of people who are really determined and really ambitious to get their CPA, and you wanted me to focus more on, what skills? Or
just like expertise.
Yeah, so like it was more about, for me, it was about getting exposure. Getting exposure to different industries, getting exposure, like if I want to try out tax, like there's opportunities where you can like go and try out tax for like 3-4 months. If you're in audit for, you tried out audit, you can go in and try out consulting. So there are definitely those avenues, and they encourage that internally as well. Like you have to have those conversations with your managers and grow your network. So I think that's something that really attracted me. Those opportunities at the Big Four.
Did you personally? Sorry,
I actually did not. Unfortunately, due to COVID. I really wanted to do a secondment in Turkey or Dubai. I would have loved to do that. But yeah, it's not in the, Allah's plan. So other plans for me. But yeah, no, definitely like take advantage of those opportunities. And for me, working at a Big Four compared to working at a smaller firm or something in industry was, I wanted to work for a firm which is very established, to learn, like I think Haneef mentioned, to learn the way things, like how to structure a team or how to lead a team. When I was senior, just in my 3rd year of my career, I was leading a team. In my 4th year, I was leading a team of 10 people. I had to coach and mentor those people. I had to provide feedback to them and be cautious of, their feelings, having those feelings of empathy, not being too critical. So I think those are some of the expertise, like those are things, leadership skills that I learned that I don't think I would have had opportunities to in my 3rd or 4th year of my career in the industry. So I really enjoy that, mentoring people, coaching people. Yeah.
So for our next question, for Haneef, can you just tell us about your experience with entrepreneurship, including challenges, setbacks, and advice for students looking to pursue that route?
Sure. So I think in terms of entrepreneurship, for me, like I said, I had that intention very early on, but because of the field I was choosing to go into for entrepreneurship, I needed experience. So for some of you thinking about entrepreneurship, it might be valuable to gain some experience first, right? One of the advantages my experience gave me was network, right? I was able to have a solid network of business leaders. Immediately I decided I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. She said something, your network is your net worth. Like that was one of the things one of the mentors I spoke with mentioned. And another way he put it was, your network opens the door, but your competence, your skills, your professionalism keeps you in the room, right? So network is critical, and one of the advantages of getting that experience first was the network. Another thing which I touched on was how to build a team. Things like performance management, coaching, mentoring. Some of those things might have been harder for me to do without the experience I had from PwC. So I think that was also one other thing. And then just knowing that it's going to come with challenges. When I made the leap into entrepreneurship, for the first month, I was too scared I didn't have a salary, right? I wasn't taking any money out because I didn't know, like, am I going to make it? Is the sales going to come in or not? So for like the first 3 months, it was like I was just trying to be cautious, and then after that it became clear that yes, and then since then it's just been like that. So it's very risky because then other people also depend on you. On an average, my team is usually between 7 to 10 man. So you have people that are actually depending on you for their salaries, their living. So again, it comes with a lot of responsibility. But with preparation, with having the right network and support system, having mentors, and also knowing what you want to do. And I think with business, if you don't have a customer, there's no business. And then if you're not solving a problem, then you don't have a customer as well. So trying to figure out what problem you're trying to solve and what your solution or value proposition is very important. A lot of people don't spend too much time on that, but I think that's one of the most important things, because without a customer, there's no business.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for that insight. And then just one more question for Farid, and then we're going to give it out to the audience, is what advice do you have for individuals looking to switch careers into finance from a non-traditional background? So you touched upon that a little bit.
So do it. My advice is, if you want to do it, do it. I was working in wealth management. I was at the earliest stages of working in wealth management, and I still had a question that, is this actually a thing? Like, can someone from engineering background go and deal with money management and wealth management? Then I realized that some of my colleagues are actually, they come from that background. So I think it's connected to that theme of entrepreneurship. You need to have life skills, and all of different skills and different experiences that you gain are actually valuable. So don't take things at face value. If someone says 9 to 5 job is bad, challenge that headline. You'll find something different beneath that. I think there is a stat that average age of a successful entrepreneur is actually in their 40s. So a lot of people have experiences, they have careers, they have some professional experience, and then they find something that they can focus on, they can do differently. So it's totally doable, and you don't, as I said, you don't need to have the next 20 years of your life mapped out. Go into something, be passionate about it, do your best, and then that you may still on that job or on that path for the rest of your life, or you may find something different and you may branch out.
We also have just one more question for you, Farid. With over 17 years of diverse professional experience, what key lessons have you learned that have helped you succeed in the wealth management field?
I think resilience. There are ups and downs, there are challenges, but if and we talk about you have to be passionate, you have to enjoy what you do. I don't think there is a single person that 100% enjoys everything that they do throughout the day. So it takes resilience. Yes, there are parts that we enjoy, and there are parts that are necessary to be done. So I think the most important thing just keep at it, stay the course.
Awesome. Alright, so now should be the fun part. We're gonna ask the audience now for questions that you guys have.
Yeah, so this one's more for Farid. As well, I want to do my CFA to get the whole designation because I have a passion for finance. And my dad's a CMA, and he actually went here for the Laurier graduate diploma, like you were saying. They have the option to do that. And take your kid to work day in grade 9. I went to work with him, fell asleep. I didn't enjoy accounting, and I don't enjoy the accounting courses I have to take as much as the finance ones. So I'm leaning more towards the CFA, and I'm not sure if you guys know this, but they recently changed the requirements for the CFA that you only have to be within 23 months of graduation to take it. So like as a second year, I'm allowed to take it in second year summer. So I was gonna take it in August, but I have a cousin who graduated from engineering. He's studying for the August exam, and he's like, "Don't do it. You're gonna throw your whole life away. You're too young for this. Do something else. Don't waste all your time. Just do something else with your time." And my dad's like, "Do whatever you want." And I also posted on I don't know if you guys know what Reddit is. I posted on the Reddit, and they were like, everyone's like, "Yeah, don't do it. You're too young. Don't focus on your professional career right now." And I'm looking for an internship, of course, but it's not looking the best. Inshallah, I get something. But I'm kind of in an ultimatum between should I pursue the designation early on because I'm passionate about it, and at the end of the day, I'm sure it'll help me get a job as well, which isn't even the main goal. I want to get the designation anyway, but I'm stuck in between a choice of pursuing it right now or doing something else with my time. And the thing is, I don't have an alternative. So I'm not sure what to do. Would you guys recommend starting early? You guys did say start early, but this early, still in second year. Not sure what I should do.
I think it's very valuable to do you're already passionate about it, you've thought about it, you understand the process. So I think it's very valuable for you to do level 1. Level 1 covers all of different parts of the industry. So it's high level explanation of different asset classes and different parts of the industry. So it talks about financial statements, it talks about different parts of the industry. I'm guessing that you will be even more passionate about following up on the course. So I would say it's very valuable.
Yeah. I mean, one thing to add is if you see your long-term goal aligned with finance, then it makes sense to do it at some point. Whether to do it now, my question to you is, what are you studying currently?
Economics and finance.
Economics and finance. So if there's some alignment there, it might make sense. For me, my principle was to focus and not try to do too many things at the same time. So one of the goals I had when I was in college was to come out with the best grade, first class. And so to achieve that, I knew I needed to be focused because I couldn't do too many things. I didn't achieve it, I was second class offer, but if I had done something else, it might have even derailed me further. So if you think you can handle the pressure of doing CFA and studying as well, if there's an alignment, it's probably easier. But if there is none, then it might be a bit difficult. So my recommendation in that case would be, finish your degree now, which is the priority, and then take it on subsequently. But again, if there's an alignment, you're doing economics and finance and they're very similar, then you might as well just combine. I know people that have done that and excelled on both sides. So again, if your goal is that you want to be in this space and is a critical ingredient and you are doing something that aligns with it, why not go for it?
I have a question for you actually. What's the other alternative that you have?
That's the thing. My other alternative is to do a full semester of school, and I'm not in a rush to graduate. I don't think there's any value in graduating any sooner.
But will you be doing your CFA studies if you're with your semester?
No. If I'm pursuing the CFA, I'm not taking any courses. But I'm not supposed to take courses in the summer. So my studying wouldn't exactly overlap. But I missed the early registration for the August exam was yesterday, so I can't do that anymore. So if I'm gonna write it, I have to do it in November. So then it overlaps with third year, first semester midterms. So there will be some overlap in balancing it. But again, if I decide to do it in November, I have all summer to study, and then I have some August, September, October, November. So I'm not exactly worried about like the commitment. Like myself and my father, alhamdulillah, like he's willing to pay for it. But we made an agreement that if I fail, I have to pay him. That's how I'm gonna hold myself accountable. Because I can't afford it, right? I can't afford that. So like I'm sure I can pull it off. But my like the thing is like I don't have another like valuable alternative. So I'm like I may as well do
It won't go to waste. I
Yeah.
don't think it'll go to waste. And like if people are saying that, why are you focusing on your professional journey so early? I don't understand that. You should be focusing on your professional journey now. Why not now? This is what you're here for university at.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
One last thing I'll throw in is, how is your performance currently in school?
Like
are you in the top, or are you somewhere?
Top. I have like like on a 4.0 scale, like a 3.7.
3.7. Yeah. So if it's not threatened, if you don't think you drop below again, because I'll consider that as well. Again, your priority today is your degree. And so if there's no threat to your degree of you doing that, then fine.
For finances, GPA matter.
GPA. Yeah, of course, absolutely, it does. It does.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I have a question, I guess it's mostly aimed towards you. So you mentioned how financial modeling is very important to learn, it's a key skill. So I just want to know, like, what are like some methods I'd say that would help like someone like me learn financial modeling. I guess it is touched upon a little bit in some of the finance courses here, but what are some ways that I can I guess learn it better? So I'm actually a business and computer science double degree student, so and I'm very interested in like financial modeling, things like that, and I've been looking for like ways to like learn it better, like do some projects, but I've done some projects like case-based, but I haven't like done like any financial modeling like real life with the real business. So I just want to know like what are some methods that you recommend?
Okay, so it's two-pronged. So the first is getting the knowledge, right, and then the second is practice. Financial modeling is one of those skills where if you don't put it to use, you lose it, right? So I think those are the two ways. And in terms of learning it, there's several platforms online where you can, access courses on that. I actually have an e-learning library as well where we have a financial modeling course. So if you send me an email after this, I can enroll you on it for free, and you'll be able to learn like from 0 to 100 of building models. But ultimately, you need to practice. So once you learn the skills, you can pick up any company on the Toronto Stock Exchange or any other stock exchange you like, and try to practice, build a model. But again, I can get you a role for free.
All right, thank you.
Me?
All right.
Yeah.
I want to get involved too. That's
All right. No problem. Just let's connect after the show.
Yeah, so I have a question for all three of you. I'm in second year just like him, and I have mixed reviews that I've heard from people that said, okay, CFA, I'm interested in finance. They said CFA is maybe somewhat useless for if you want a job as soon as you graduate, right? And if you're not looking to transition careers. So what's like the honest advice that you guys have? Is it possible to just break into finance without a CFA, or do you actually need it?
Absolutely possible. So a lot of what people do in terms of doing, because there are countless number of designations and courses that you can do. So one thing you can do is that you can go start your job, see what is really relevant, what are the competitive advantages that you can have. For some career paths, I would say CFA gives you that competitive advantage. For others, it might not. So the answer is mixed. You can go and explore for yourself. One thing I can say is that in almost all of the cases, you don't need to be a CFA charter holder to enter. So a lot of that's why people do it later in their career. They figure out that, okay, this is something valuable, necessary, and then they start their CFA journey. So yeah, absolutely, you can enter the workforce, start to explore, and then figure out for yourself that is it something that is really relevant for you or not.
I'll add on to that. I think the job market has gotten very competitive, It's definitely possible. I have friends who are finance, like in investment banking space that don't have a CFA, and they say it's not relevant. I think you touched upon it, like if you're an analyst or whatnot. I don't know exactly what else. If you're in private equity banking or like buy side or sell side, you know a little bit. But again, it definitely gives you a competitive advantage, and I think Farid mentioned it. It shows that you're committed. It shows that you're serious, and it gets you're more marketable. Like if I'm as an employer, if I'm looking at your resume and you're saying, oh yeah, aspiring CFA, and somebody else is maybe not an aspiring CFA, I'll pick you because I think you have the dedication, you have the ambition, and you want to grow in your career. So.
Here's a follow-up question. So the job market is obviously gonna look a lot worse maybe in 2 years when I graduate. So what's the best? I know the best way to actually guarantee help yourself get a job after you graduate is to get internships, right?
Yeah.
But as for this internship, it's another hurdle. Like, okay, we have to get the internship now first. So what's the best way to prepare for these internships in the summer? Because I've already applied for mine. Obviously, networking is a big thing. You have to talk to people, get the referrals. What other advice would you guys have?
Do you guys have cool here?
Yeah, we do.
So I mean, I think having visibility generally is very powerful, right? When I say visibility, social media, LinkedIn, X, having a profile, for example, on LinkedIn can make the difference because for one, you're out there. Because most times now, a lot of hiring happens via LinkedIn, or even if it's not happening via LinkedIn, one of the requirements you have to provide is your LinkedIn profile. So if I'm looking at, and I'm currently hiring actually, and I'm looking at all these applications, and one of the initial screening I do is just go to the LinkedIn profile and see, okay, does this student or this fresh grad have a professional profile that shows what they've done, that shows that they're actually forward thinking, they've done certain trainings, they have certain things, that shows professionally put together. That might make a difference in the initial screening. Again, if you have 1,000 applications, you have to reduce that number to something reasonable before you can start, assessing them or interviewing them. So one of those low-hanging fruit is have a professional footprint, right? And then also engaging and communicating. Then being knowledgeable about what's going on is very important, right? So there's a lot going on in the markets today. AI, there was this DeepSeek. Has anybody heard of DeepSeek? Right, it came out one weekend and then over $1 trillion in market cap of AI companies wiped out. Having knowledge of what's going on in that space also helps. Communicating or even adding to those conversations can help differentiate you. And networking is very big, right? A lot of hiring happens outside the official announcements of your hiring or LinkedIn applications or whatnot. So I think those are useful things that you can do.
I'll add on. As a student, I think one of the main things is get involved in the extracurriculars, right? If you're VP Finance, if you're a leader in the student groups, that really stands out. Second thing, go to all the networking events that you can. Like I remember at Ryerson, I went to Ryerson, now TMU, it takes dedication. Like we would dress up, we would have our blazers and have our professional, wear clothing. For events in the evening, and I'd go out and network. I was aiming for Big Four ever since I was in my first year, and I was going out and networking with these people. So they had the familiarity of, make your own business cards, have your LinkedIn profile, dress up for it, wear your confidence, go and introduce yourself to these networking events, introduce yourself to people, have that business acumen, right? Read the news. Also, what was I going to say? So just have that brand, and networking is very important. Very important. Make yourself familiar. When I was in university, I remember this KPMG representative that used to come. He would have other business cards that he had collected from previous events to see whether those students are there. So they do flag you. I was rejected by KPMG. Two times. I never got a co-op with KPMG. I was a co-op student. But I just kept at it. I made myself familiar. I went out with coffee chats with people. I came across this Ryerson alumni and networked with her. Got to know more about audit, and they flag you, and then you actually exist as not just an application on the computer or on paper. They know you as a person.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sorry, just wanted to add something. You mentioned 2 years from now. Personally, I think it's getting only better. I don't think 2 years from now it's getting worse. Yes, competition is tough. Like CFA Society Toronto is the largest CFA society in the world. So we have per capita, we have the largest number of CFA charter holders in the world. So there is competition. But from where the way I see it, it's only getting better. Like so much opportunity, so much demand in the industry for expertise, for diverse set of skills. So I think it's only getting better.
Yeah, I don't want to take up people's opportunities, but I just want to say to get a sense of how competitive it is for finance. Last year in my first semester, I was looking for internship for my second semester summer that I'm going into. And for my third year's summer, I'm looking for internship for that right now. So they're recruiting 2 years in advance.
2 years?
Yeah, like a year and a half in advance.
A year, yeah.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah. Typically that's how it is for Big Four. Like if you want to start in the summer, next summer, then you would have already recruited this summer.
That's for audit specifically, or just like in general, like consulting, tax?
For everything.
For everything. Any more questions?
I was just gonna say one more thing. So my dad being a CMA, and I also have an uncle that's an ACCA, and I have like family members in the finance and accounting industry. A lot of them have told me that it would be smarter to pursue the CPA because they say that an accountant can do a finance person's job, but a finance person cannot do an accountant's job. And I just want to know if that's true, if anyone has experience of that. Do you know, like, have you heard of, like, you having the CPA, do you have opportunities for, like, finance roles?
I think I do, but, like, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
You can better answer
So
the
I think
question.
because I'm ACCA, so I'm an chartered accountant, and I'm also finance.
Yeah.
But I've never really worked an accounting job, right? Like debit, credits, and all that kind of stuff. But I can do that work.
There's more to
Right?
it.
I can do that. I know there's more. No, trust me. I know. I can do that work, right? Because when I started my business, right, I was the CFO as well, and from day one, our books have been in order. I've been the one championing that, from A to Z. So I don't think it's rocket science. Like if you've done finance, CFA for example, we do FRA, and then depending if you study to pass, then it might be a different story. But if you go through the curriculum A to Z the way I do, I don't think there's any accounting job I can't do. I mean, audit might be maybe specialized because there are certain compliance things and that you need to go through. But generally speaking, like the accounting role, I don't think it's rocket. And almost anything, right? Like Farid mentioned, first principles, breaking it down to what exactly are you trying to get done, and then learning. Like I'm a learner, so anything I can put my mind to, I can learn it. So I don't think it's that straightforward. But again, there are nuances to it. There are some accounting roles that can work on like M&A deals, for example, because M&A is a different ballgame, right? And there's some M&A people that can do like core accounting work. Again, I'm probably not the ideal person because I'm both, right? I've gone through both, and I sort of like went deep enough to be able to have that confidence that I can do both, right? So, but again, I don't think it's that straightforward.
It depends, I think, what specific opportunities you're looking at. I don't know. Not sure.
I
It's hard
have
to tough
colleagues.
question.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
So again, in my world, I have colleagues that they are CPAs and then move to being a wealth manager, portfolio manager. So their competitive advantage is that, okay, for someone who has been a business owner, a wealthy person, I really understand tax, so I can provide the best tax advice to you. Whereas someone like me, I rely on my partner who's a tax specialist. So many different ways of doing things. So I wouldn't say one is better than the other. It's do it and figure it out for yourself.
Yes, so my question is basically, some of you here are in finance, some are in accounting. So if I'm looking for an internship or a new grad position, do I need like previous internship experience in finance or accounting, or is it possible for me to, like, for example, like not have a CFA and still get an internship role for in these fields?
I think for internship roles, I mean, for the interns I've taken in, we don't look at those. Sometimes you're taking an intern and that's the first work experience, right? So you don't necessarily need any of those, I'll say. So it's more, so if I'm taking an intern, it's more around what are your goals, what do you want to do? Can I add value to you as you come into an intern? Where are you going to be able to learn? Because as an intern, I think it's more about learning and, you know, building, contributing and getting experience. It's not about really you coming to, you know, solve all the problems of the company. It's more, I think it's, you get my point? So I'm not looking at your technical capabilities in terms from a professional standpoint. It's more around, do you have signs that you can execute excellently at what you do? Do you have good grades? Do you have good communication skills? Do you have clarity, or are you curious enough? Do you know what you want to do, your long-term goals? I think that's one of the biggest things I look at. I don't take on interns that their long-term goals doesn't align with what my business is doing. Because when I take on interns, I usually have the mindset that I can retain this person to be a full-time hire. If I don't have that, then I'm not interested. So I don't think your professional experience is a big factor, at least per se.
I agree.
Right. So I guess the reason that I actually asked this is because like nowadays, like especially you see like even for like new grad or like entry roles, right? They expect like years of experience. Like how am I supposed to get that?
Like,
It's so competitive.
it's real.
So
Yeah.
It's like a chicken and egg question. They ask you for, I had this problem too. They ask you for Canadian experience.
And you're new to Canada.
Someone needs to give me a job for me to have Canadian.
Yeah.
So it's just
You need to
the
start
challenge.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, build those skills, right? Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No.
Okay. Like we had like at TMU, you know, we had Excel workshops, so you can get certifications. You know, utilize that at the university. So build your Excel skills or whatever financial modeling skills. Show that you are ambitious and you want to pursue certain goals or certain designations. Yeah, that's it's more about personality at this point as a student. You being coachable, you wanting to learn, right? Like you said.
So I could add on and like joining clubs as well. It
Yeah.
really helped me personally. So for those who are in like second year, first year, like you should really take that
And
opportunity.
then one thing I'll also add, particularly in the investment banking space, in the deal space, your credentials, what you've done, not necessarily where you've worked, is very important, right? So you could learn a skill like financial modeling and do projects, like build a model and publish it or put it out there for people to look at, or maybe share an insight. You know, maybe you like Teslas, look at Tesla's trajectory, build a dashboard, build a model, share. You can do some of those things and then put those things on your CV. Those are experiences. So it doesn't have to be that you work with KPMG or you intern here. Can you show that you've done something that's relevant to that job that you seek?
Yeah.
And you know, knowledge is available very easily today, and you can put in that work and get stuff done as well. So.
Yeah. Also, don't undermine part-time jobs like sales jobs or anything like that. Those show time management skills. That's very important.
Maybe we can do one more question.
I just have like a quick add-on to this question. So I know Haneef probably has a great answer for this, and I'm not sure if you do have like experience in hiring people or students at all. But if you were doing that, what's like the main thing you're looking for? Like you guys have answered like pretty well already. Like it's not like, you know, like you don't need like KPMG Big Four experience to get like your foot in the door. But like what kind of things are you looking for in a student that would like make you want to hire them?
That will make you more
More hired.
So I'll say a few things. So I think for me, I tend to look at a few things like the values, right? So I value the culture of learning. So if I'm looking at two people and I can see that one person has shown, you know, evidence of seeking knowledge and, you know, learning, doesn't matter what you're learning, but you're learning stuff. That's very valuable because in today's world, you have to be learning every day. Things are moving very fast. So the attitude to learning is very important. communication skills. Can you express yourself very well? Can you communicate? Do you understand? Can you answer questions? You know, that's also important. Then excellence, you know, excellence in terms of your grades. It could be sport or activities that you do. Can you show that you can be excellent and you can do work? It's very important. Then one thing I also like is someone that is proactive and self-driven, right? My business is a remote-first business, right? So being able to demonstrate that you're self-driven, you're proactive, you can get things done without someone looking over your head is something that I also value. But I think those are like core values I look out for, and then obviously being able to show rather than just telling is more valuable. So if somebody tells me that they've done X, Y, Z, and they can see like tangible stuff, like maybe you completed this course that gave you these skills, and then someone just saying, no, I can do this, I'll take the person that can show me something. So having that evidence to back whatever you're saying is also very valuable.
Yeah, actually, I do have experience with interviewing students from Laurier, from Waterloo, when I was with Barrick. It's a gold mining company, and you know, you guys have that ranking system. But a lot of the times, it comes down to relatively how you are as how you interviewed compared to other students. You might be a great student, you might be involved in extracurriculars, you might have excellent like academics, but if you don't interview well, if you don't practice and prep well for your interview, then you're setting yourself up for failure, right? One of the very first things I think my accounting professor like told us was if you don't prepare, you're preparing to fail.
Yeah.
So prepare yourself for the interview. Sit in front of the camera, interview yourself, like just do it, record your interview, and actually see how you're speaking, what your body language is. Are you able to express yourself? Are you able to walk through examples? Especially the first question is very important. Whenever we ask, you know, tell me about yourself. We don't just want to hear whatever is on the paper. We want to hear your journey too, right? Like we want to see. If you say, yeah, if I say I was at Barrick, then now I'm at you know, Modern Ag, working with this construction company. Oh yeah, but I was also at KPMG. You know, you want to have clarity of thought. You want to be sequential. This is where I started. This is what I'm doing now. This is what I'd like to do. So have that clarity of thought. That's very important. How you tell the story, how you communicate. So it's important.
Yeah. Awesome. Once again, I really want to appreciate you guys taking the time to come here. And I hope this was a useful speaker panel. And we just have food at the back, so feel free to take some. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be here for a while, so if you guys want to ask any more questions, I'm sure you guys can come up and ask them individually as well. But also just want to give a quick shout out to some MSA members, Naz, Maleeha, and Kunal. They organized this event, created a PowerPoint presentation, reached out to you guys. So just a quick round of applause for them as well. So we can definitely wrap up.
Thank you.
You guys serve the